are not doing well, as it were. And that is where the inequality issues are very important when we come up with such indicators. It gives us where we are going at the macro level, but breaking it down shows that we need to invest more in some areas and reduce some in other areas.
Thank you very much for sharing those. Please feel free to give him a round of applause. I think those are some really interesting insights there. So it's not just looking at the data on the surface, we need to break it down. That looks like data-driven policy making to show that we're addressing the gaps. And I think I'd like to come to you, Madam Jacqueline, because last year you led the team that did the heavy lifting, the work that led to the launch of the national HDR. And so we have some data there on how Ghana is performing. What does this data tell us about inequality trends in Ghana? And I know Prof has touched on some of the anecdotes across the country, but what can you share from the work that you did last year? And how might these influence or inform us when we think about supporting the adoption of AI?
Thank you. Truly, I was part of the team that estimated the HDI and the inequalities. And from the results, we could see that Greater Accra had the highest of 0.67, whilst the lowest, we find it in the Northeast region. And looking at the whole data set, we see that the regions from OT up to the northern regions, they have the lowest, whilst the southern part are better off than the northern part. And we know the issues. It's the same as the NPI, non-monetary poverty index, the NPI, and the same as poverty as well, because when you take the north-south divide, the southern parts are better off than the north. The same as when you take sex disparities, there's also a marked difference between male and females. And like Prof said, the females are increasing in education and all that, but then they are not going forward to certain places that they need to be. Now, we know that
Mrs. Jacqueline, sorry to interrupt. I think you're making some really cogent points there. I've just got information that those at the back cannot hear you, so if you can adjust your mic a little. Great.
Thank you. So, we have also seen or heard from people using AI to transform health and education. But it looks like all these are centered around the southern part and not the north, where when it is deployed, when AI is deployed across the northern side, northern part of the country, they can also use it to transform some of these issues we are seeing in their livelihoods, because education and health form the critical dimensions that is used to calculate the HDI indices. Yes, so yes, it's to take advantage, and then we do targeted deployment of AI that we have found to be useful in some parts of the country. Thank you. And also in agriculture, but I know Walali will talk more about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think the data is backing what we've heard today. I mean, data from the last HDR, that there's still high levels of inequality across the country between regions, and particularly when we look at some of the key sectors, which is education and health. So now I think maybe let me cycle back to you, Dr. Moore, and also link this to what Professor shared earlier about high levels of enrollment by females at the university, with University of Ghana as a case. in some sectors and not in the STEM areas. And you have been, mentoring and the next generation of technologists at UCC, and you've also been leading some of the applications of AI. What reforms do you think are urgently needed in our education system to prepare our students to be able to meaningfully participate in this increasingly AI-driven world?
Yeah, thank you. If you look at the current increase or evolution in artificial intelligence, for instance, you see that for the past 3 years or 4 years, there's been a huge change in almost all the universities in curriculum development, because all the universities are now trying to introduce artificial intelligence of a sort in their curriculums. Which is good, but it means that every 3 or 5 years, whenever there is a new change in technology or new progress in human development, universities will have to then again come up with these new ideas, new courses. So some of the courses in our universities are already running out because nobody is interested in pursuing these courses again. But the reality is that if we rather create a liberalization of the education system, or a liberalization of courses in the university, such that people are able to take maybe 20% of courses that they like, as opposed to creating a very rigid course curriculum where you say, first semester take these courses, second semester take these courses, third semester, take these very straight courses to get a Bachelor of Science in maybe economics or something like that. If we rather say, if you take 70% of the courses in economics will give you a Bachelor of Science in economics, but you can take 30% or 20% of courses from all the other departments in the university, and that counts. What this will do is that, for instance, if you look at the current dispensation of artificial intelligence, where we need computational social scientists, we've never trained people like that, where we have people who are social scientists and are also programmers. We have never trained them, or we need computational neuroscientists, where we need people who are neuroscience experts but are also computer science experts, or we need people who are medical doctors but are also computer science enthusiasts. We've never trained people for many years, even computational economy and stuff like that. So if we become very rigid in course development, we'll always come back to the process where we'll be struggling with people to fill in the gaps in new age development or in new technological development as we progress. So this is really one of the things that I feel should be considered in across almost every university, because I feel people in medicine should be able to take a course in computer science. If this is their interest. I am a mathematics person, but I do a lot of research in medicine, in biology, as well as in agric and health, because it is my interest. So if we roll out an educational system where people can move from economics to go and take courses in computer science, in maybe natural language development, or they can go from linguistics to take courses in NLP, then it will help us improve development in many, many new things that probably we never talk of. Of course, the other aspect of as well is that when we also look again at current ongoing trends, you see, as Prof said, in my class, I teach a computer science class that I teach, about 700 students, almost about 10%, 15% are female, right? Very, very few. You don't even see them in the class. If you come to mathematics, I can count the number of females in the class that I teach. If I go to the same, if I take all the science courses that I'm teaching across the university, I can really count the number of females in the class, which is actually the case that although we were saying we have increased, and it's the same actually not just in the University of Ghana, but also University of Cape Coast, that there's a huge increase of female enrollment in the universities, but these are all in certain areas, very, very limited areas, and we do not see them, for instance, in the sciences and in the engineering. So we need to have a way of dialoguing, a way of training the senior high school students in a way to increase their desire as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you touched on some critical points there. In fact, before I come to you, Prof, this is one of the things that the report is challenging us. This report is not about artificial intelligence. It's not about the technology itself, but it's about how we're going to shape AI to achieve the key outcomes we have in this country.